Take me to October, please. Just
We're
take me.
cooked.
No, April. We need.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another glorious episode of Clickbait Sports. We've got the whole crew here today, and my oh my, do we have a show planned for you? Because every one of our teams now has been officially eliminated from the playoffs. We start with the Green Bay Packers, who I was rooting for. I was ready to come in here and say, I told you so. The Eagles are fraudulent. All it takes is love. But alas,
Power of
they
love
needed
can't
more
stop a
than love.
machine
They
gun.
needed a lot more. Tom, what went wrong? Instant reaction. Take us through your emotions.
I think the first thing is Scooter rooting for the Cowboys. That's where things went wrong. I got you, Perna. I got you, buddy. We got that mind meld. Yeah, so last Thursday, I think, was the beginning of the end. Once Scooter was full-blown rooting for the Packers, that's basically, the death rattle for your team, for your organization. So that was step one. Step two, yeah, man. I mean, the defense, they played well enough to win that football game. It was a one-score game. Deep into that game, and even with multiple turnovers, we had 4 turnovers by the very end, 3 in just the first half, and it was still a 10-0 game. But the offense just couldn't do anything. They were turning the ball over. It was sloppy play. It was a whole mess of things. And Goody came out today saying, like, all right, like now we got to start contending for some championships. Thankfully, the cap opens up a little bit, so we're gonna have some cap space and flexibility this coming off season. We'll see how things go, but it's definitely a disappointing way to send off this house for the final Packers game here. So, not the best.
Indubitably. Very, very disappointing. Very disappointing for me as well. I was rooting for you guys. I wanted you guys to win. Here's the question, though. Where do the Packers go from here? Is Jordan Love actually the guy, or did he defraud you guys putting up that amazing performance against the Cowboys one season ago?
Buddy, I'm going to just be honest with you. If there is a world where Jordan Love is a fraud, I will still be the happiest person in the world that he was able to kick the Cowboys' ass. So regardless, I do not think he is a fraud. I think he actually has it's not a thing. He actually has very similar stats to Aaron Rodgers those first 2 seasons as well. So I am more than willing to give that man enough time and see what happens. He didn't have a great season. Definitely a little bit of a downgrade this year. And there could be
Wasn't he banged up a lot?
Sure. I mean, again, he said that his knee injury, his elbow, wasn't, impacting him a ton, but ultimately he's got to play better. And then I'm assuming they're going to get some more weapons on that offense and another wide receiver, and we'll kind of see how things go. But yeah, the expectations were higher last year. We didn't have any expectations last year. And after they almost beat the 49ers in the divisional round, obviously heading into this year, it was like, okay, now we're going to start playing. They improved their record by 2. They got worse within the division, and obviously didn't win a playoff game against a better opponent. But yeah, it sucks. But I think, the foundation of the team is there, and we'll really see within these next 2 years, what kind of player Love is going to be and if LaFleur can take him there.
That is fair. Let's see how it plays out. 5. You had your hand.
I was going to ask, but I want to wait for you to go around to the other losers in here.
Okay. Yeah, you're saying losers and you're a 4-win team. Join the club, buddy.
That is fair. Before we transition to another team, though, let me get your guys' thoughts on the Eagles. Is this a for real Eagles team? Am I being delusional and I need to have my eyes open? Let me know. Is this Eagles team for real?
Unfortunately, Scooter, you're going to be asking that question in a week from now because they should handle the Rams. Like, they should be able to handle the Rams, and they're going to be in another NFC championship game. And unfortunately, we're going to have to rely on the Lions to take out this awful thing that is this malignancy that is the Eagles, because the Rams, I don't see doing it. So you're not going to get that question answered, Scooter, until 2 weeks from now on Championship Sunday because it's happening. It's sad, and it hurts as a Giants fan to say that. But
So there's
the
no
Rams
world in
are
where
false.
you guys can see the Rams beating the Eagles next.
I could. I mean, it's possible. I mean, nobody expected the Rams to beat the Vikings, and then Sam Darnold ended up just pooing himself on the national stage. I'm just going to say this real quick. For as much as we all lost this past week, nobody lost more than Sam Darnold. That man went from a 4-year, $40 million per year contract with about $100 million guaranteed to a 3-year, $25 to $30 million contract with $40 to $50 million guaranteed. Like tens of millions of dollars just burned in an instant.
Honestly,
Go ahead.
I
Brandon.
think he's in a better position now.
Really?
I've thought about it. He's going to make a little less money, but I would rather make $30 million a year with lower expectations than $40 to $50 million a year with high expectations.
Question
But that's
is,
just because I'm honest.
he's going to be in a better, a worse
about who I am
franchise.
as
It's
a
going to be
man.
with the Cleveland or New York Giants.
Low expectations, life-changing money. That's a win-win, baby.
I just want to know how many houses you can buy with expectations. I'm not
Here's the
sold
thing,
on
though.
that. I would
Everyone
take the 50 million and F all your expectations.
Everyone wants to talk about Sam Darnold, but I did see some of the stats that Brett actually brought up about time to throw the ball, basically, in that game. And if you look at all the stats, he didn't have time to throw the ball. Actually,
he had a ton of time to
throw.
Over half was over 2.5 seconds. He was holding on to the ball for so long, dude.
I was showing
like
that
most of the times, even Paul Allen's flip out, like, you got to throw the ball away.
I know what you're talking about, Scooter. I know the exact tweet you're talking
pocket.
about. Yeah, the majority of it that he did have time. It was over 2.5 seconds. That's what I was showing.
So I misread that.
Yeah, you did. Correct.
Okay.
It actually makes it look worse.
The Rams, listen, the Rams played well. They bodied up there was a lot of miscommunication with the receivers when Darnold needed guys to sit on their routes. They kept going. Like, there was a lot. If you were to look at the game film from that game, like, there was a ton of miscommunication, a ton of confusion. They were not on the same page. Justin Jefferson might as well have been absent, and Darnold was confused all game. And you got to give the Rams credit. They covered it enough and they blitzed hard enough and they got to Darnold and they made him look like, New York Jets, Sam Darnold. And that crap with him just hopping around with his feet, that's on him though. Like, he needed to get rid of the ball, but he was in trouble all game. And I was not prepared for a team that protected him all year to just break down like that. That was bad on the Vikings.
I don't know if you guys also saw on Twitter. Now the matchup for next week is going to be Cooper DeJean covering Cooper Kupp. White on white violence could be happening next week.
Cooper on Cooper.
Oh, dude.
Keep an eye on that. And we will also be keeping an eye on Mike Tomlin after the Steelers lose in somewhat undramatic fashion. It was expected. Take us through your emotions in this game.
I only have one thing to say to start.
Behold the new year, a time for reflection and resolutions. But there's only one thing you should embrace here: the heart of the underdog. Also the partner of the stream, I might add. Welcome to Pick'em, where you can test your might in the art of foresight. Higher or lower, flexible stat lines customize your entry to your heart's desire. Plus, they offer daily promos and specials throughout the NFL playoffs. It's an immaculate feat. Don't forget to say the magic word: clickbait. Use it in the link below to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash in your first deposit, plus a special pick in the lobby. You were expecting whispering. You were wrong. With Underdog, however, you won't be. But please, folks, always remember to play responsibly.
Maybe if they had used Underdog code Clickbait, they may have had a better chance of winning that game.
Perhaps.
I'm going to say this out loud. Steelers are never, ever, 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 ever firing Tomlin, even though I'm going to be completely honest here. He has been long past his expiration date. Steelers are too content in their own ways, and this is 2020 light. That's all I have to say right now. I mean, you have when I came into the 10-3, when you were going into the Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City gauntlet, this was going to be their true test to see if they were a real contender or just what they were. And they just imploded. I saw a team that quit. I saw a team that didn't try. I saw a team that was completely out of sorts and was just slapped around for 60 straight minutes. I mean, the only thing they had were Russell Wilson's moonballs. And I think, like, if you talk to anyone who's a Steeler fan, like, it's the most apathetic I've seen it in 25 years, something like that. But
10-7 Super Bowl.
Yeah, 9-8 Super Bowl, baby.
9-8 Super Bowl.
Yeah. The thing is with the Steelers, they are a C-plus team that fancies themselves an A team. So, which is why you might bring back Russell Wilson. You might extend George Pickens, which they shouldn't because there's just a lot of drama there. And not to mention, as I said, they just extended Tomlin this past offseason. They're never firing the dude. But
where
the question
do you
is,
go from here? If you honestly are trying to contend, you're back in the playoffs against the Ravens next year. What do you need to compete, Tree?
honestly, I don't know if there's a way forward from here because you've seen like your upside for the past couple years has always been get your ass kicked in the wild card. And the last 3 times they've been in the playoffs, I've had like no expectations. Like, okay, we shouldn't be here against the Chiefs because the Colts collapsed and then they just get destroyed. 2023, they shouldn't have been there because Jacksonville collapsed. And then the Bills beat the crap out of us. Like they were there for like a quarter. They showed more fight, but it was still pretty bad. And then against the Ravens, you're in the middle of a collapse. I'm like, okay, it's either going to be the craziest BS I've seen in my life or a Baltimore blowout. And it turned out to be a Baltimore blowout. Like my thing is, once again, they felt like they were already planning their vacations weeks ago, which
So
just
you're
goes against the
saying-
antithesis of a motivational coach.
Adding a receiver, maybe like a Deontay Johnson, would not be what your team
Dude,
needs.
Deontay Johnson was flipping out in the locker room against the Texans earlier in this week. Have fun, buddy. He's back with the Ravens too, but he's not going to be eligible for the Super Bowl.
That
Like,
is
dude, it's that guy
Do y'all
fell
have-
off a cliff.
KOC.
I think the only way that the Steelers can, get better is to spend significantly on free agents, and that's not really.
Here's the
a
thing: they
Steeler
have
thing.
they paid big bucks to Patrick Queen, and he was meh. That's the problem. So the thing is, too, you have all your money tied up in the most expensive defense in football. You couldn't make a tackle or solve an RPO. You gave up 300 yards. I was looking up the stats earlier in the last 6 playoff games. The Steeler defense has given up 38.3 points per game, 418.2 yards per game, 6.3 yards per play, 155.3 rushing yards per game, a 76.9 red zone efficiency for opposing teams, 8 sacks, 2 takeaways, and a pick. And that's over a 6-game playoff stretch. Like,
How many points per game are you giving up?
38.3.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
wonder.
and this is the most
Terrible.
expensive defense in football.
No wonder. Well,
Dang.
we hope you will figure it
Dang.
out. With that being said,
I
The
don't think they
Ravens
are. That's what I'm
are
worried
the
about.
Ravens looking like the best team in the playoffs right now?
I think the thing with the Ravens is I was always frustrated with them because they never played up to their potential. They would always blow games randomly, especially against the Steelers. They had a couple, the Browns earlier in the year against famous Jameis, the Raiders that they randomly lost to. But I think over the last couple of weeks, you're finally starting to see a team that's coming into its own. Their defense is really clamped up. You remember they were calling for Zach Orr's head mid the pack, and now it's really just forming into its own since they moved Kyle Hamilton to free safety. And I think with that thing there, you have a strong edge rush. You have a really strong interior defensive line, good linebacking core with Roquan Smith. I mean, as long as you have Marlon Humphrey healthy, I think you have a chance to make it far. And with how Lamar is not having to carry the load because King Henry is just rumbling through everyone with a really strong offensive line in front of him. Once you get Zay Flowers back, I mean,
They are our only hope to take down the Chiefs, them and the Bills. But we transition from
Still
a
think
team
KOC.
that underperformed in the Steelers to a team that overperformed this year. We go to the Denver Broncos with their rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, who is setting records ablaze. I picked the Broncos to win this game. And at the beginning, it kind of seemed like you had something going. Brandon, take us through your emotions as you were watching this game.
I like this punishment by Nick, by the way. Making Tree sound optimistic about anything for more than 30 seconds. That's pretty good.
Come on, no.
That's pretty good.
I don't want to be optimistic. I want to be bitter, mean.
Oh, look, I got a little tree right here.
Aw, where'd you get that? Is it your voodoo doll?
I got Tree. I got Adam.
Bald man.
Oh my god.
I got Scooter.
Are you doing the puppet show?
Is
I
this
got
why
Tom.
my back has been hurting?
Yes, it is. And this is mine.
Knicks. Come on, you couldn't have an Elway jersey? Come on.
Shout out again, Deb, for making these and sending.
That's amazing.
I don't think she intended for them to be voodoo dolls, but I swear to God, if one of you betrays me, I will learn the dark art of voodoo. And I will have Aaron Rodgers teach me his ways.
Ooh,
to make it
do
happen.
what? Remind me of a babe.
Bo Nix, guess what? Last 4 or 5 games, he did all that shit with the fracture in his back. So suck it. He's only going to get better when he gets healthy. Crazy, huh, guys? Any of your quarterbacks play with the fracture in their back this season?
Well, Russell Wilson threw moonballs.
He did, didn't he?
Yes.
I am a little concerned because actually I think Bo's deep ball accuracy got better after the injury.
Yeah, he was overthrowing a lot of receivers early.
Took a little mustard off. That Marvin Mims play against the Browns, back fracture. That throw against the Bills,
Broncos
back
game,
fracture.
Perna, at what point during this Broncos game did you think, oh crap, we're gonna lose now? Here it comes. Because at the beginning, you guys were like competitive in this game.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the third quarter. It got out of hand quickly, middle of third quarter to the end there. But it should have been tied 10-10 at halftime. We missed a kick going into halftime, so it's 7-10. But it was 7-10. And all season the Broncos have played like this, at least their offense, where their points kind of come in waves, and then you got to kind of just endure these dry spells during the games. And it was kind of like we're just hoping that a drive or two they get going, and it never happened. The Bills played us very well, and yes, it is us. I am part of the team. And it was Buffalo came out with a plan to run the ball, and Denver's defense most of the season pretty good against the run. So Buffalo, they just outdid one of our strengths. And if a team is doing that to you, I think it's a really hard thing to overcome within the course of a game, right? It's something you can correct after the game. But if you're a team that's like, okay, yeah, we've been good against the defense all season, and your opponent comes out and it's like, screw you, we're just going to keep pounding the rock. And they were getting 5-6 yards every time they ran the ball. I think it wore on the Broncos. And also the Broncos couldn't get going on offense because they were never on the field. The Bills had the ball for 41 minutes. So it was.
I feel like there was a moment
Buffalo
in that game where Josh Allen activated. And then after that, it was like all over for the Broncos. Did you have the same feeling?
Yeah,
Or
like
you just think getting
I think
pounded?
Josh does that every game. There's always like a play or a series. You're like, you can't stop that guy. And that's all the great quarterbacks right now, right? Like Lamar, we've seen him do that all season long. Joe Burrow was doing that to keep the Bengals in it. Mahomes does it every time you think a team is about to beat Kansas City. He just goes, no, you're not. So, yeah, I think Josh and the Bills offense definitely did that. There was a touchdown. Josh extended the play. It was the Broncos defense had him. He extends it out to his right, and then he throws to the back of the end zone where I'm still not 100% sure Ty Johnson actually caught the ball in bounds. But when the Bills scored there with the way Josh made that play happen, it was like, uh-oh. And that was probably the moment you're looking for, Scooter, where it's like, this is probably going to snowball after this.
You know, it actually brings up a great point. Another topic that hopefully I read correctly on Twitter was that the age of the mobile quarterback is here. There's no more quarterbacks that are staying in the pocket like Tom Brady-esque. What are your guys' opinions on that? Where you look at the remaining quarterbacks, even in the playoffs, they're all pretty much mobile, save for Goff, if you're thinking about it.
Stafford's not super mobile. I'd say
they put him in the mobile category. Like, I guess
maybe when he was younger, but not anymore.
I don't know, but they had Stafford as a mobile quarterback based off some stat. But
interesting.
Larger picture, are we seeing the death of the pocket quarterback? Is that no longer a thing?
It's a cultivation of how freakishly athletic quarterbacks are now. They're just faster. They're picking up guys that can run. Even Daniel Jones, he can reach 21, 23 miles an hour when he's running. Guys are they're freaks, and they're putting an emphasis on speed at a younger age. It's like, okay, back in the day, it was just develop your passing, become a great passer. Don't worry about running. And now it's like, no, worry about all of it. And that's how they're being bred as quarterbacks. And I just think that the improvement and of training and techniques, the guys are just getting faster. Even Sam Darnold can move around, and he, you wouldn't think of him as a mobile quarterback.
I don't even know if I could name 5 pure pocket passers in the game today. Like, just thinking of all our quarterbacks, they're mobile. If you think about it, all of our quarterbacks.
Most of those guys are
Joe
pretty
Burrow
washed.
is one. I'd say
Burrow's
Joe Burrow.
I'd say Purdy might be more of a pocket
Burrow
passer.
is fast.
Yeah, Burrow
are you kidding? Burrow can take off and run.
When
but
needed,
they're guys that have like wheels, but more or less stick in the pocket. I think that's
Joe
what he's
makes his
trying to
living
say.
in the pocket.
He does, but like he can take against the Giants, he had like a 55-yard run or some crap, and I was like, Jesus, this guy can run. Okay, that's a good one. MKI, Kirk Cousins.
Cousins, Rodgers after the Achilles tear, he was more of a
Rodgers is a statue
pocket
now.
passer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Flacco's a statue. That's
the elite Joe
one.
Flacco.
Yeah. We'll see.
Geno Smith, he's a pocket guy.
He can move though.
He can run though. Yeah,
but like you're talking about, like, sure, guys can run, but if you're talking about like depth of the pocket passer, I think we're talking about guys who that's where they want to make the majority of their plays.
Penix can definitely be there from a short sample size.
Derek Carr.
Carr can move though. Like it's like these are guys that are you looking at guys like who just can't move or a more pocket passer first, and then if they have to run, they run.
I'm thinking like Tom Brady, the quarterbacks who are like Tom Brady, who if they have to run could die. I
think it's harder because guys like Brady and Manning. And Manning, I think when he was younger, he had a little bit of speed to him, actually. But like Tom especially was so slow that he had to get good at being in the pocket. And I think like if that is a limit in your physical ability, it's like a survival sort of skill that you adapt. And I think Adam's right. There's so many guys now that just like process of elimination through high school and college that there are just so many guys who can also run on top of doing that other stuff. But yeah, it's probably to me it's Burrow of the elite guys that feels the closest to that.
But I've never seen Burrow. I would never see Burrow run and be like, that guy's slow. Jameis Winston is like a pocket guy. Like he's not.
But he can run.
They're not going. Yeah, he can, but they're not going to design read options
not
for
doing
Jameis
RPO.
Winston. Yeah,
Jameis doesn't run because he's thinking of like who he can throw it to on the other team. He just gets distracted.
Speaking of quarterbacks, though, this is the perfect segue to going to the only team up here with not a current QB1 that is apparent going into next season. We go to the New York Giants, who were eliminated before the playoffs even began. You're watching this, you're seeing everything that's happening in the news. Where do you stand now with the number 3 overall pick, knowing that maybe Deion's going to the Cowboys? Is there talks about trading the number 3 pick? Let us know what's going on.
I know
Listen,
exactly who they should trade it for. Go
Hey,
ahead.
thanks, Joe, for your super chat. I am rooting for Saquon, but against the Eagles. I will clarify that. Here's what's going to happen. The Giants are going to trade for Dak Prescott. They're going to trade the number 3 overall pick. And somehow the Cowboys are going to move that up to number 2 so they can take Shedeur Sanders. And then Dak Prescott's going to be our quarterback. And then you're going to have to face him twice a year and just be like, there goes my hero, from Foo Fighters. And you're going to have to put up with Deion Sanders as the coach of the Cowboys and Shedeur. And that's how
Travis
it's going to be
Hunter,
from now on.
They'll
And the Giants are going to
trade for
win
Michael
12
Parsons.
games with Dak Prescott under center. 12
No,
games.
you're going to win.
Put
7.
Dak. You put Dak on the Giants. That's a 12-win team right there, buddy.
Yeah, maybe if you guys still had Saquon.
No,
Maybe.
what's going to happen is look. The Giants are going to draft Hunter. They're like, oh, Joe Shane, freaking Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They're going to be like, yo, we get 2 players with 1 draft pick. And then John Mara is going to be like, yes, genius, boys. Genius, 2 players with 1 pick. And then they're going to be like, who's available? Sign that Darnold guy. Give him $50 million. We gave $40 million to Daniel Jones, and he's his backup. We'll give Sam Darnold $50 on a 3-year deal with an option after 2. Guarantee $100 million. This is what the Giants do. And that will fix the offensive line. That will completely fix the entire atrocious offensive line is signing a guy that doesn't do well under pressure. That is New York Giant football, baby. Lock it in. Lock it in.
Let me ask you something.
I hope y'all appreciate nuance.
How excited would you be for next season if Sam Darnold is QB1 for the New York Giants? Where's your confidence level going into the season? You got Travis Hunter, dynamic playmaker. Pair him with Sam Darnold. What are you guys doing next year?
We are winning 4 games, maybe. Like the offensive line is so bad right now. So bad. If you watch the end of the season, with no Andrew Thomas, he's got to stay healthy for an entire year. Evan Neal is hot garbage over there at right tackle. Like the interior line has been bad. They haven't had time to develop and gel together. Like this offensive line is bad. And if you just add parts, and look, we haven't done well in free agent signing either. Remember Nate Solder? That was a waste of money. Like, we're not good right now. We're going to have to build in the trenches. Hopefully the right thing to do would be to take an offensive lineman, whoever the best in the draft is at number 3, but they won't. They're going to go for sexy Travis Hunter because they're like, oh, we got 2 players with 1 pick.
You would be okay taking an offensive lineman at 3 over Travis Hunter?
Hell yeah, because that would show me that there's a commitment to building in the trenches, which they haven't shown for the last 10 years. I mean, other than Evan Neal, and then he just didn't work out.
Evan Neal, John Michael Schmitz, Andrew Thomas. I mean, you've drafted guys, you're just not developing them.
Yeah, well, maybe that's like on Dable.
Only one Travis Hunter. You can find linemen throughout the draft, throughout free agency. That's interesting. That's an interesting take.
I don't know.
We'll see how the Giants fare next season. And last but not least, the Dallas Cowboys. We are in the midst of a coaching search currently. I actually didn't think we were going to let McCarthy go. Actually, I thought he was going to come back. And I guess there was some discrepancy on the length of years in the new contract that they were negotiating, and they couldn't come to terms. And because of that, McCarthy is out, and now we have a wave of interviews lined up, starting with Robert Saleh first. I think we're also looking at Leslie Frazier, as well as potentially Deion Sanders and Jason Witten. Before I comment anything further, what is your guys' reaction to A, McCarthy being let go, and B, to the proposed candidates for the Dallas Cowboys? What are your thoughts? Is there a right way to go in this situation? Yes.
So all I want to say is like probably what happened, and I made a video about this, is that the Cowboy, when you said the amount of years, anything less than 5 years for McCarthy, he's not taking it because he can get 5 years from any other one of these other garbage teams out there, right? And so if you're not offering 5 years, if you're the Cowboys, if you're saying, hey, we're not all in on you, Mike, we're going to only give you 3 or anything less than that, him and his agent were like, screw this. I don't want to sign anything less than 5. And Jerry was smart enough to be like, wow, we really aren't committed to this guy. We should just break up now. And that's what happened. If you can theorize everything what you want, the Cowboys weren't bought into him, and he wasn't going to take anything less than what he's actually worth, which is a 5-year contract. He's going to get it somewhere.
Is he worth a 5-year contract?
Not to the Cowboys. He's not worth that to the Cowboys.
But 5 years at all.
Yeah, he's worth that to some dumbass team like the Saints. Hell
He's
yeah,
not even worth
they're
one
willing to put 5 years on him.
5-10.
Anybody, that's standard. Ben Johnson is, any new coach that's coming in is going to get 5 years. So
My
I
question
hope
is,
the Bears or Jets sign him.
it was an economic thing. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyone else have thoughts on the Mike McCarthy being let go? Did the Cowboys do the right thing here? Do they have heir that is and should be hired?
I am on one train, and it's not for football reasons. It's just for the sheer amount of drama. Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys. Come on, dude. Ego against ego shattering. Do it, please. I want this like a fly needs shit. I want this so bad. Don't give me Kellen Moore. I want Deion Sanders, and then you're going to trade for Dak Prescott to the Giants and Micah Parsons to the Browns or maybe the Raiders or something like that. You're going to draft Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. You're going to draft Shiloh too, just for the heck of it. You'll probably sign Deion Sanders Jr. He's probably coached somewhere. You'll probably have him play. But, dude, the ego and the clashing of that is just going to be so fantastic. Oh, dude, I want it so bad.
It would be the best thing that would ever happen to your YouTube channel, Scooter, if the Cowboys signed Deion Sanders. I'm not even kidding.
Yes. It's a free soap opera every week. His content.
Draw is insane, and I've watched it with the Colorado Buffs. I've watched it with the people who cover the Buffs. How him joining that team has elevated everybody's interest in that team, and if he goes there, you better start thinking about what kind of Deion Sanders Cowboys content you need to be doing at least once a week. Because if you don't, you're just missing an opportunity.
This would absolutely be the perfect time for Sanders to leave. Like Shedor's aging out of college. Like this would be, he's stepping off that one. He's like, we accomplished a lot of things. We didn't get to the playoff, but he did turn that program around, and he can leave it and just cash in.
Okay. I hear
cash
everything.
in as the coach.
I've heard
like Jackson State hasn't been that good since Deion left.
But let's pump the brakes here a little bit. All right, let's relax a little bit. Deion's not coming. I hate to burst everyone's bubble here.
He's coming.
Deion's not coming, and here's why. Jerry
Jones
is cheap. He does not want to spend money. Do you know how much Deion Sanders' buyout is? It's $10 million. There's a 0% chance Jerry Jones is going to pay a $10 million buyout when he didn't even want to give Mike McCarthy 5 years on his contract.
Jerry Jones is worth $17.2 billion, by the way, just to.
Yeah, I'd like a bucket to piss in.
Yeah, but you don't give giving your money away, Tom.
I'm letting you guys know. There was also
I want me some glory hole.
That basically said Jerry Jones, while they might be worth however much money, they're cash strapped. They are cash strapped currently. And because of that, they're not looking to do something like a $10 million buyout. I'm sorry.
But that hold on. But that doesn't mean that just because if you're talking about your cap.
No. I'm talking about Jerry Jones personally. Like
Jerry Jones is currently cash strapped.
Yeah. Yes. Do you mean his money isn't liquid?
Correct. Yes.
Like,
it
what
gas?
does he have his money tied up in? I thought he
His
had oil and gas
He
in
had to
Arkansas.
put-
He's got an illegitimate daughter.
He had
He's
to
gotta
put
pay her
1%
off.
of all his money into some escrow, and you can look it up. You can look all this stuff up. They don't have the money on hand right now. The Jones family, they are cash strapped.
Oof.
So because of that, I do not
Tough times
see
out
them
here for Jerry
paying
Jones and family.
a $10
Yeah,
million
yeah.
dollar
Moment of
bond.
silence.
Deion's
Rough.
not coming.
Yeah.
You know
Okay,
what's going
so-
to happen, and it's going to really turn off the fan base. I'm literally anticipating a swath of Cowboys fans not watching football next season
Uh-huh.
because we all know what's going to happen. Jerry Jones is going to hire Kellen Moore,
Yeah.
and it's going to be Jason Garrett all over again. In fact, I would rather this man bring Jason Garrett back than bring Kellen Moore over here.
Dude,
No.
that is a take.
The one thing that
That's
every
the craziest take
Cowboys
I've seen
fan
since
can
Colin
unite
Coward
on
and
right
the
now
Steelers traded
is
for
we do
Christian
not
Jason.
want Kellen Moore as our head coach. And we're interviewing this man. He's one of the first people we're interviewing. He is
It'd be cheap.
exactly, he fits the prototype. He fits the mold of what Jerry Jones is looking for. He will say yes to whatever Jerry Jones says. They're not going to
Correct.
bump heads. He knows who he is. He knows his family. It's going to be Kellen Moore. And I'm going to already pre-write this video because I'm also going to be one of those people heavily upset that we go from Mike McCarthy to Kellen Moore. With that,
I'm gonna
being
laugh
said,
so hard.
I mean, dude, you should trade for Mike Tomlin, even though he won't go to be traded anywhere.
the
But
thing
That
is,
might be
what's the
good.
difference between Mike McCarthy and Mike Tomlin, if anything?
Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season. He's got the PR.
Their
Like,
last
dude,
name.
Scott
Now you're
Rivers with their
defending Mike
PR, my
Tomlin.
man.
Same
Okay,
first name though.
and
Yeah.
what's the
You know,
difference?
standards the standard. He's got Tomlin.
No
doesn't
Super
compare.
Bowls,
Baller.
no no
Won the
championship
baller.
appearances. There's
He's
no
won
difference.
a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl 15 years ago.
Okay, and so did McCarthy.
So did
they're
Mike
the exact
McCarthy.
same coach. They're the exact same coach. They don't win
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it
pretty
matters.
much.
And they
Yeah.
have
Where's
winning.
this tell me different last names?
One's black, one's white. They're both Mikes. Okay,
No.
they're saying
No.
the same thing.
It's so
the same
brave.
thing.
It's so bold.
I want
man.
Ben
National
Johnson.
media crucified. him for
Every
that.
I
Cowboy
think-
fan wants Ben Johnson. We want youth. We want innovation. We're getting Kellen Moore. That's what's going to happen, unfortunately. Something also unfortunate. Let's do a hard pivot here. I don't know if you guys saw that Eagles-Packers game, and I don't know if you saw what was happening in the stands of that Eagles-Packers game, but this brings up a very interesting point. Does someone else want to describe what happened if you saw that clip? Tom, were you able to see that clip?
Yeah, yes, I did.
And
Yes, I did.
can you describe what was taking place for people who may not have
Spell
been
it
able to-
out for us.
Scooter, can I ask for a hot second why you in particular are bringing up this clip out of nowhere? Because this seems like we were talking about the Cowboys and ragging on them, and now you're using this as an excuse to bash Eagles fans.
Well, I mean, you're
I think
100%
so,
correct.
man. I
So
agree.
with
I just,
that
I
being
just
said-
wanted to make
Yeah.
sure. Okay, yeah, no, there was
Not a hard pivot.
there was a young woman who was berated by an Eagles fan. That Eagles fan has since lost their job, and is banned from Eagle Stadium. So
See,
yeah, using
the thing
some-
is, I can agree
Yeah.
with banning him from a stadium, but losing his job is a little. I mean, I get like it was a little out of sight, but I feel like it should have just been a suspension from his job. Like termination is a little,
yes, Brandon.
little too far for my take. As I said, banned from the stadium easily. Like you can't accept that from any sort of line.
It is interesting.
fallout's
This is the
worse.
discussion. This is the discussion. Should you be able to get fired from your job for what you do in your free time away from the job? That's really
I
what the
mean,
debate
if
is.
you murder somebody, yeah, Scooter.
But if it was on the weekend, Brandon, it's not a problem.
I
That's
think the
what Scooter's
punishment-
saying.
Doesn't
I only
fit the
kill on
crime.
Saturdays.
That's right.
I
Sunday's the
think
Lord's Day.
that person should have been forced to attend every single Cowboys home game for the following year, every single Commanders home game for the following year, and every single Giants game. They got to pay to go there. They got to travel. They got to show up, and they got to wear Cowboys jersey. They got to wear their Commanders jersey. They got to pretend to root for their division rivals 3 straight years. Then you send them into a court. and it is televised, and we see if they have learned from their mistake and atoned for their mistake. Because, or actually, they don't get, they got to wear the opposite jersey in those environments. That's the punishment. They got to go to those Cowboys fans games as an away person.
What?
No, the real punishment is that they have to try and tackle Saquon Barkley.
No.
Or Derrick Henry.
Ankles.
In your experience in attending games, what has been like the scummiest kind of fan base that you would not be surprised?
Oh my
that
gosh,
this
the
behavior-
Miami Hurricanes when they played the Florida Gators with Tebow, these people inundated Gainesville. We're talking exorbitant amounts of trash, having done nothing the past decade. It was crazy. They didn't even go to the school. It was terrible. Miami fans are the worst. They're terrible. I'm sorry. Above Eagles. It's Miami above the Eagles. Because at least the Eagles are good in talking trash. Y'all suck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I would think, well, I mean, I've seen some really bad fan behavior from the Commanders, you know, when they were the reskins, like down in the seating bowl area or in the upper deck of FedEx Field, especially when they start losing, they get very angry and very belligerent, and they talk a lot of smack. And like you would think even in the good seats down there would be less awful behavior. Like I would never take a kid under 18 to any Commanders game.
Really?
It's scary.
Like over the Eagles?
I mean, I've been to some rough. I used to go to my dad used to take me up to the vet when we were kids and we'd watch Mets games, and Phillies fans were terrible, but like luckily the Mets were really good and the Phillies were bad. And so they really didn't have much to say, but like they were pretty bad, but nothing like I've seen fights at Giants games. Like I've seen awful things from Giants fans too. Giants fans can be terrible. You go to the bleachers and at Yankee Stadium are pretty bad too. But I'm just asking, what have y'all seen that have like personally terrible? So Scooter has Miami. Tom?
I mean, I have great and bad stories from almost every single fan base. I mean, like that's why I kind of look at it. I'm like, no, it's not a particular fan base. Like it literally is like the good.
Steelers fans were doing the wave when a guy was suffering severe injury in a Seahawks game a couple years ago. Like it happened.
Yeah. Like you look at like someone mentioned the Bills before, right? Like Bills Mafia, known for like the charitable efforts, like they're always donating and stuff like that. When I went to a game when I was 16 years old, Bills fans were huge dicks to me, literally knocking off my cheese head, like one of my first games there. And like again, it's just part of the game. It is what it is. But like that, I don't think that represents, Bills Mafia or like Bills fans.
Off your head?
It's true.
Yeah.
Dang.
Really...
Sometimes it's funny and it's done in good fun, but then when it crosses over like that incident, Scooter, where the fan is calling, see you next Tuesday, that's like really just that person needs help.
It's weird,
And I think the question on Twitter, I was like, Eagles fans, do you condone this behavior?
So Scoots, in that, you're supposed, like, is someone gonna come out and be like, yeah, I like it. This poor woman got berated. Like, what are we doing?
Well, yes, there were a couple of people, of Eagles fans who did try and make the point where it's like, oh, it's a football game, you should expect that. But overwhelmingly, it was Eagles fans being like, no, that guy's a clown, right? So. They were basically saying, you find this at every stadium, which is true. There's always some belligerent, drunk dude ruining things for everyone around them.
Yeah.
With that being
never
said,
a sober person. It's never a sober person.
I do think that someone should have stepped in, like an Eagles fan around him. Hey, like, relax. We're like, what are you doing? This is a woman. Why are you berating a woman?
If there's some good that comes out of that, of just be like, hey, like people around it, like if you don't want this to be, because this is the thing, right? Like we have these incidents in every single time, and it could be any sport. There's a fight or there's like an altercation, what have you, that maybe it is like, hey, people around shouldn't be like, this should not be a thing. Like that's when you step in. Because I can also understand too, Like if you were in a hostile area, like we have heard and seen every single year of fights that break out, people die at like the games. And that's where this is just so stupid and like beyond football or any other sport. So yeah, it's just unfortunate that this stuff does happen.
They need that Nickelodeon claw that was on the Broncos Nickelodeon game to just come and like pluck those people right out of the stadium.
Or the poop bubble that they did to Jim Harbaugh. And it cost
I think
them
the worst
game.
place is college football games for that stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the two
That
worst
can get
experiences
wild.
I've had was we went to Kansas State when the Buffs were playing, and those people were not nice at the game. Like obviously you have friends there and you're around a lot of good people, but at the game, you're in the wrong colors. You're around like drunk 18 to 22-year-old dudes. That's a recipe for disaster. And the Buffs and the Rams play every year. Well, they did play every year here in Colorado in the Mile High Showdown. And I think like my buddy and I left that game, and it was just two of us kind of alone going through the wrong part of the crowd of the team. And like it was like every 5 minutes, somebody's trying to say something to you to provoke you to start a fight. Like people will spit at you. You're like, okay, we just got to get the hell out of here before, we get our ass kicked.
And with all that being said,
real quick though, like, so when I went on the international tour, like the looks that I got when I'm telling people of like, oh yeah, you could just buy a ticket. They split up their stadiums. They're like, hey, if you are the away team, if we're talking like football, like soccer, legitimately, it's like, hey, you have 25% of people, you are sitting in this one area and that is it. Or if it's like a 50-50 game, they'll literally divide the stadium. When I'm in Mexico, they're like, we allow maybe a handful of people to come in here from the opposing team because we've had riots based off of that.
Yeah.
So like where we are, like with American football too, anyone could go buy a ticket and they're sitting next to an opposing fan. So like even just around the world, it's different with how they do ticketing.
Compared to soccer,
yeah,
they're not
like
passionate enough is what
I
Tom
was
said.
actually
Yeah.
I was actually
Soccer
about to make that
fans.
point, Tom, that even with everything that we've said, we are still soft in comparison to the rest of the world because they kill people in literally. I remember I was in Norway on vacation at a friend's wedding, and I was talking to someone there, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm from this town, but I can't wear those colors here because if I wore one of my team's shirts here, I would get beaten up." And he was just saying it matter of fact. Like everyone knows. Yeah, you can't wear
How
that.
long did we run with this stupid ass narrative that Packers fans or Eagles fans couldn't wear green in Brazil? How long was that a stupid ass story this entire freaking summer to the point where I'm walking around in green in Sao Paulo looking, I'm still alive. It's literally in particular though for those games wearing green of the opposing colors when they are playing against each other. That is not a good move. But yeah, like that's how, unfortunately.
Yeah, like international fans or like, Premier League fans, they'd be like, oh, he just called her the C word. Why didn't he punch her too? Like they think that we're light. And they would just look at that clip and like, oh, that's why when you walk in, that's at the hospitality tent. That's how we treat our opposing fans. So yeah, but it's just crazy to me that you would care so much about a sporting contest that you would get into a fist fight over that. Like there's plenty of reasons to get into a fist. Well, there's not many reasons to get into a fist fight. Maybe someone is threatening your personal safety, but like over a game, that's ridiculous.
It is.
Go home and punch your television like a well-rounded individual.
I just want to ask one question before we do the countdown. Who out of us is in the best situation headed into the 2025-2026 season? Who out of all
Me and Tom,
of us
Tom and me,
is-
Tom and I.
The Cowboys.
Screw both of y'all.
I mean,
Definitely
there's only one thing that I think is a positive situation out of all of this.
Behold the new year, a time for reflection and resolutions. But there's only one thing you should embrace here, the heart of the underdog. Also the partner of the stream, I might add. Welcome to Pick'em, where you can test your might in the art of foresight. Higher or lower, flexible stat lines customize your entry to your heart's desire. Plus, they offer daily promos and specials throughout the NFL playoffs. It's an immaculate feat. Don't forget to say the magic word, clickbait. Use it in the link below to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash in your first deposit plus a special pick in the lobby. You were expecting whispering. You were wrong. With Underdog, however, you won't be. But please, folks, always remember to play responsibly.
There we go.
Always
And
play responsibly.
as you
Yeah.
guys
Play
make
with
your
yourself
picks
responsibly.
in Underdog, we also are going to make our picks for the divisional round. We are down to 8 teams remaining. One of these 8 teams will win the Super Bowl. First up, we got the Texans and the Chiefs. Do we think the Texans can pull it off for America or no?
Um,
Go to a Lambeau game.
Texans-
Have a great experience. So
yeah,
So
if the Texans were to pull this off, this would be a historical upset, and it's not happening. So
I'm still traumatized over the Texans blowing that big lead in 2020. And problem is, like, their defense, I think, can do it. It's just I have trouble with their offense, especially if Joe Mixon can't get going. That's my concern.
Or
Yeah, the Texans' offense is what's going to hold them back. Sorry, I tried to star this, but the star removed it. I'm sorry you lost your job, but I'm glad the curse wheel caused you more.
Dude, what do you have on your
Three.
beard?
It's a chip clip. Sorry. I was
Ooh.
fine with it during the ad.
little chip clip.
I got to take it
Chip
upstairs.
clip, huh?
You have a
I'm
beard, you
also
just put
going
stuff
with
in
the
it.
Dude, your
Chiefs.
stream like that.
I got the Chiefs over the Texans. Tom?
yeah, I think the Texans have a shot to, if they keep this like a really low scoring game, they got a shot. But that defense has to be basically where they were last week. And then on top of that, that offense they can't start slow. They fumbled on their opening, then they had an interception. I don't think you really get away with that doing against the Chiefs, but the Texans defense does make it interesting. I still got the Chiefs though.
I got the Texans. They're going to shock the world. Shock and awe, baby.
Like
Houston.
Broncos. We then go to the perhaps maybe the best game in the playoffs thus far. Bills taking on the Ravens. This
This
could
one's tough.
be
He did cook. He just cooked up moon
This
balls.
one is so tough.
Nothing but moon
It's
balls.
very tough.
and
I am going to
Question.
go with the Bills.
do you think the
Oh.
winner of this game solidifies the MVP championship, even though it's a regular season award? Do you think that there will be some bias? Can you give the MVP to
Haven't
Josh
they already
Allen?
voted?
They already voted.
I think
Yeah,
they
they
thought
voted
they
after
already
the regular
voted.
season. It's done.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But can think about if Josh Allen loses twice to Lamar Jackson head to head. That would just be fascinating to me. And you still give the MVP to Josh Allen.
I'm just so concerned if I'm a Bills fan. Like, can you stop the run? Can you stop Derrick Henry? Because that is the only way that you win this game. And the Bills defense has been sauce all year. They're going to score points. They're going to put up points. It's the Bill, like it's, and sometimes playoff Josh Allen shows up where he throws 2-3 bad balls. And those are the difference in the game. I'm really scared. I'm going to go with the Bills. But man, Ravens can definitely win this game.
See, I think the Ravens end up pulling it off because I think they have the defensive advantage, and I think it's Buffalo's going to have some really bad play that breaks their heart again, like wide right last year. That's just my belief. Especially if it does snow, it's going to be a ground and pound game, and I think the Ravens are better equipped for it.
Yeah, they are.
I think
Derrick Henry.
If both teams play their absolute best football, the Ravens are a better football team.
I agree.
But I still think the Bills are going to win because it's in my heart and I freaking want them to win.
Which
I love Josh Allen, so I'll be rooting for him. And I think if Buffalo wins, we'll be talking about James Cook and his performance instead of Derrick Henry's.
Which one of these two teams do you think can take down the Chiefs? Has a better chance of beating the Chiefs?
Both of them.
Both.
Both are going to expose them.
Yeah.
See,
But,
I don't see that because I think the Chiefs are going to pull out some BS. They're getting healthy.
Buffalo
The
already beat
defense
Kansas
is probably
City
the
this
strongest
year.
one remaining. And not to mention, they are very Patriots-like in their terms of controlling the ball, being able to just dink and dunk and demoralize. That's been the Chiefs' way, especially all year. And the fluke BS, like, you think Tomlin's a fan of that? Andy Reid is a master.
Bills
I got
already
the
beat 'em.
Ravens over the Bills, and I got the Ravens over the Chiefs. I got the Ravens going all the way this year. They are my pick to win the Super Bowl
Ravens.
this
Sorry,
year.
Baltimore. You just
So
got
sorry,
Green Bay.
Baltimore, it was nice knowing
Scooter
you.
just Green
sorry.
Bay'd you.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's what is it?
Should have
Ravens
picked the
flock.
Chiefs, man.
Come on, Ravens flock. Let's go. Tom, do you have your pick?
Yeah, I literally have gone back and forth.
It's a
with
hard one.
this. I actually had a dream last night that the Vikings beat the Bills in the playoffs, which I know is not actually possible, but it woke me up in a panic. And I was like, is this a problem? Because I picked the Bills to win in predictions, and it sent me into a little bit of a crisis. I think, obviously, the last time they played, Derrick Henry ran all over Buffalo. However, Buffalo was missing like all their linebackers. Buffalo, I think it was like 7 starters they were missing. So I don't think that Henry's going to have the same productivity. I went Bills. I'm not fully confident in it. And I think, like you Perna said, I think the Ravens, if they get their game going, like if they establish Derrick Henry, we'll see if Zay Flowers is going to wind up playing on Sunday. That could be a difference maker. I just think I think the Bills, but God, if it comes down to either Justin Tucker or Tyler Bass, like, is there confidence in either of them to make that game-winning kick at this point? I know Tucker's gotten better as the season's gone along, but oh boy, I can't wait.
It's cold and possibly snowy in Buffalo Sunday night. So sometimes weather's a little bit of an equalizer. Sometimes it just screws over one team too.
The Bills are a top 10 rushing team this year. So like they're no slouches either, but they're going up against a good run defense. So
Did y'all know James Cook is Dalvin Cook's brother?
Yep.
Yes.
Since
Okay.
draft.
Actually, he's his dad.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah.
We transition
I see
to
you
the
called.
NFC divisional rounds. We have the Commies taking on the Lions. Is there any chance we see a rookie quarterback make it to the NFC Championship year one?
There's always a chance.
yeah, there's a
And
chance. It's going to be tough.
I mean, you play the games.
If anybody can do it, it's Jaden.
I think the Lions getting Montgomery back, and like if they establish Gibbs and Monty, like they're gonna run all over the Commanders. That would be my main concern. Commanders playing with house money, and I think having Jaden in the mobile QB is always going to make it a lot of fun. I'm curious to see how the Lions defense is going to adjust to that. But yeah, I have the Lions. I think they're just going to score more points than the Commanders.
Yeah, Lions are going to win.
I have the Lions blowing out the Commies.
The Commanders are going to lose last week too, Scoots.
The Commies have had the easiest path this whole season. They had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. Then they play a mid-Bucks team in the playoffs. This is their first look at real competition. They're losing by 4 touchdowns.
4. Wow.
Or more.
Wow.
Or more.
Mhm.
5, Tree? What are your thoughts?
The Lions all the way. I don't have much to say.
I think it's going to be I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. If you want to take a bet, take Jahmyr Gibbs as an anytime touchdown scorer, baby. That is a lock and a half. Minus 300 on those odds. It's still worth it. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to walk right into that end zone. David Montgomery's coming back. The Lions are getting healthier and better. Like I would put not only the Lions to win this game, but to go all the way to the Super Bowl. They better.
I mean,
I think they have a really good shot too.
I mean, even with their injuries, I mean, I believe that I think the Lions do win this one. I think it's going to be closer than people think, but at the same time, I just don't know if Washington has enough.
It'll be scrappy though. I'm not saying that it's going to be a blowout. The Commanders have been very scrappy all year, and they've pulled out some amazing wins, but the luck ends on Sunday. It's done. It's out.
A hell of a season for the Commanders if they wind up
The
losing on
last
Saturday,
question
dude.
Is it more
Saturday.
likely,
Sorry.
as we do this last pick, Rams, Eagles, but keep in mind, is it more likely for us to see Eagles versus the Commies in the championship game? Or is it more likely for us to see Stafford versus Goff in the NFC championship game? Which is more likely? Also, I got the Rams over the Eagles.
I think Stafford Goff is more likely.
Yeah. I just don't see the Rams beating the Eagles.
Derrick Henry ran all
It's
over them last
possible.
time. I think he's going to. I'm
Grind
sorry.
them.
Saquon ran all over them last time. I think he's going to do it again.
He did.
Yeah,
He really did.
Yeah, what do you have, like 300 all-purpose
Yeah,
yards?
he destroyed them.
He just
And if
went
they
out.
and if they put all that attention on Saquon, Cooper Kupp, and Puka, they're gonna eat.
Yeah.
And Lad Lad he's a Charger, but it's gonna be Cooper on Cooper violence, and I think Cooper Kupp gets the better of that. I'm sorry, I had my white guys confused.
Are you saying the Rams are gonna win now? 5?
No, I'm saying that Cooper. I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
Rams win
DeJean is
because of
gonna
Lad McConkey.
No, I'm tripping. I'm gonna say Cooper DeJean is gonna clamp Cooper Kupp. I got
There
it
you go.
backwards.
Cooper Kupp
There
hasn't
you
done much
go.
this year at all anyway. I mean, like, yeah, I think it's just to be tough. The Rams, dude, that was an awesome win that they had against the Vikings. And if they can get pressure on Hurts to make mistakes, you got a shot, but you have to slow down Saquon.
And the problem is Hurts has not been that good with his arm this year. He's been a little.
He has not been good.
Like I said, I think Sirianni's going to find a way to screw this up. I don't know when, but I think it is.
Here's my hot take. Nick Sirianni ends up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day.
Oh, dude, don't put that evil on me.
Do they have a
don't
wing
put
for
that
assholes?
evil.
Brandon.
Sirianni.
Why would you even say that, Brandon?
Hall
That's
of Fame
evil,
because I
dude.
want it. That guy takes so much heat. And
'Cause he's a
been
bad
very
coach.
good coach.
He doesn't
Deserve
get
the
those
heat.
players.
What do you mean he takes the heat? Generates the heat himself.
Yeah, he brings it on
Took Philly to
himself.
the Super Bowl. I mean, had
Go
him.
to the countdown. Go to the countdown. Immediate countdown.
I think
Yes,
he's a good
please.
coach.
That's crazy.
We should have kicked off that show for that reason alone.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. I don't know what I'm going to say, though. 2019, 18, 17, 16, 15, 4. We're gonna watch these games. Who's gonna score more? I just had to find words that rhyme right there. But maybe the Lions win with the nose hair. That much. I think they win back.
I'll start. I got 142.98.
Woo! 82.
Crap. 5. What'd you get? 5.
You
Dude.
muted your mic,
You're
nerd.
muted, dude.
Oh,
You're muted. Top of
It's
it.
still playing the countdown
There
for
we
some
go.
reason.
There you
I got
go.
$36.98.
Uh-oh.
Tom.
Three.
$36.
Crap. Is it a 3?
nope. It's 208. 208.89.
312.
Appreciate the hell out of you, folks.
I hate
312.
you.
Let's go.
I
I still gotta watch the
12?
documentary.
Yeah.
Nick, I hate you. I
I'm
hate
gonna
you
be
so much.
So
I
basically,
want Nick's idea. A 1-minute video
motivational.
about why Mike Tomlin's the right guy moving forward. Only positivity about the Steelers and their prospective future from Tree.
I think that like you find a way to bend narratives and stats to be like, this is why the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl in 2025.
Yeah.
Like,
It
it
has
has
to
to be
have
just-
that positive
Mhm.
music behind it, and you have to say something positive about George Pickens.
Yes.
Pure
he's not optimistic. I'm optimistic in
Steelers
his pessimism.
copium. Yep. And you got to sell it, baby. You got to sell it.
Oh,
as
I can
pure
sell it.
copium.
I'll lock this up, baby.
Mhm.
I can do it.
Basically,
Yes.
act like me talking about the Cowboys next season, going into next season.
I can do
Let
that.
them know.
The response is unanimous. People
they
want
go
to
to
see it.
500
They love it.
Hey, I got punished for it a couple years back.
I mean,
Yeah, but you
hey, if
actually like
Front Row
NASCAR.
Motorsports
It's fun.
and
I enjoyed
23XI do the boycott, that's going to get juicy.
You know, one day maybe we can make Scooter doing everything that's wrong with the Cowboys. Ooh, only negative takes from Scooter.
Yeah. The Cowboys are not going to
That
the
should
Super
have been the
Bowl.
punishment. No, the Cowboys are going to tank. The Cowboys are going
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Cowboys are terrible.
Listen,
I never
what do you
believed
guys
in
have
this
coming
team.
out on your channels before you get any more ideas?
I have cursed NFL stadiums coming out right after this at 7:15 p.m. scheduled and everything. I'm actually way ahead of production.
I was there too, Dale.
schedule.
Lucky
I
you,
was
bro.
there too.
Nice.
Right?
go.
I'm
Nice.
doing a video on
Cursed
the New York
NFL.
Rangers.
Do you know that-
and the
oh.
soap opera.
Soap
Sorry.
opera?
New York Rangers soap opera.
Oh yes, they're going to
Prano,
trade
what is
Zibanejad.
dropping?
Nothing tonight. I got Jaden Daniels video cooking for tomorrow. So, but we got to edit.
Thomas,
Probably gonna drop a skit tomorrow. I'm on a show later tonight, and then Q&A and GPS tomorrow, and I'm streaming all the playoff games. So, bam,
Crucial dub.
Let's go.
let's go.
I got oh my gosh. I got, what do I have
What
coming up?
just
I have
happened to your
a
camera.
What happened to your camera?
head
by the way?
coach video coming out.
What
Are we
is
good?
going on here, man?
Yeah,
What is with the
I'm looking
camera?
at it through a fly's eyes.
I don't know.
Oh,
It
no
happens
signal.
sometimes. I have to
Oops.
restart it. But I got a coaching video coming out. Mike McCarthy, all the Cowboys, whatever. That'll probably drop
There we go.
tomorrow sometime. And then we are doing a secondary hate stream. The last one did not turn out how we anticipated. We need to get this Eagles loss on camera, on stream. Shout out to Grossi for rating me all season. Crucial W. Let's go Rams. I believe
Scooter,
in
you should have to make a video on why Kellen Moore is the right choice to lead the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas
Into-
savior, Kellen Moore.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
will do that.
Kellen
And I will
Moore.
drop it April 1st. That is
Mhm.
exactly what I will do.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can
And
we?
with that being
Are we
said,
good? We love y'all.
What you
this has
gotta
been
do?
another
Curse State.